Well, oh my gosh, thanks you for that intro. Now I feel like I have to be like really good to like live up to that. Like that's a tall order, but oh my gosh, I'm real excited. Well, I'm excited to share about puppets because I just like anytime anyone allows me to talk about puppets because I'm a big nerd about using them in the classroom. I use them all the time for a lot of different grades. There's so much that you can do with them, so many fun things. And so tonight I'm going to share some of my favorite puppets, how you can get started, what you might think about doing with them the first couple times, some tips and tricks, things along the way, and then some actual lessons of like how you might use them if you wanted to start like this week. But let me just say that it is a journey with them. I think that the first time I saw someone use a puppet, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I should try that out. And then I got one and I started using it and I was like, I don't know, this is sort of weird. Maybe I don't know how I feel about this. It makes me feel a little awkward. I mean, that's teaching, right? Like you feel that about like everything you do the first time. And then I started doing it. I started using them more. I started integrating them more in my classroom. And then I got more and more and more. So I have a lot of puppets now. I have one of those like puppet stand, puppet trees in my classroom, and kids are constantly like, who are we going to meet now? So like that's a really fun environment to have. So puppets are fun. There's a lot that you can do with them. So let's sort of dive in and talk a little bit about that. In the chat, I put the link for all the notes. It has links for all the notes for the 3 sessions I've done this year, along with all the extras and resources and things that come along with those if you're interested. There are going to be a couple times where I'm going to share my screen just so you can see like some visuals that might be helpful. But for the most part, I don't know that we really need that. So anyway, but I'm just going to throw that out there. That'll be there just a little bit. Anyway, I wanted to introduce you to one of my friends who actually came home with me from school to be here for this session, and it's my friend Skippy. Skippy, can you introduce yourself? Hello, everyone. I am a squirrel. Yes. My name is Skippy. We get that part. Okay. What else? I live in a tree. And I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. Right. Well, okay. Will you tell them about like why do people call you Skippy? Well, because I go out and I'm skipping all the time, but I'm just skipping. I'm not just like looking. I'm not just like having fun. I mean, I am having fun, but I'm also like looking for something. What are you looking for? My food. Well, why don't you just go to like Kroger and get your food? Kroger. They do not have squirrel food. I tried once going into a Kroger and I was not allowed. You're not allowed in. Did you try like Publix? Do they have Publix in Kentucky? In this somewhere in this, but you know what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about because I tried going to a Publix once and I was also not allowed in there. Okay, did you try like Walmart? Not allowed. Target? Sometimes Targets have food. I found some nice towels, but no food for squirrels. And then I got kicked out. Yeah, that's too bad. So anyway, but you don't go to like a grocery store. No, squirrels are not allowed. We have to find our own food. And here's the thing, the trees don't always make our food, so we gotta like find it and store it. Oh, you have to like because the trees aren't constantly making food. They only make it like a certain time of year, and then you have to store it for when they're not. So that's science connection. Right. That's when a principal is like, "Are you doing science?" I'm like, yes, here's how. Anyway, so it's actually like a couple weeks later, we meet a grizzly bear, and he talks about how he stores food, but in a slightly different way. He just eats the food and keeps it, and then he hibernates. So it's like another life science connection, sort of. But I mean, really, the puppet is there to be a part of a song and a lesson that is going to serve my content. But why not make that connection while you're there? Anyway, so you're storing up food. Yeah, and when I'm going around, it looks like I'm skipping around the yard just having fun, but actually I'm looking for food. I see. Yeah, but you know what? The skipping, that's where I got my name Skippy. Yeah, oh, but sometimes you don't skip, sometimes you do other things. Yeah, like I hop and I jump and I move all sorts of ways. Yeah, and actually I have a song about a squirrel who goes around and like a yard, and it goes like this. Hop old squirrel, idle dum, hop old squirrel, idle dum dee. Hop old squirrel, idle dum, hop old squirrel, idle dum dee. This is a pretty famous song. I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous in the world. You can find it all over. It's in the notes too if you're interested. But anyway, so that's a song about a squirrel. I love it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but it's great because it's about a squirrel. Do it again. Okay, do it again. All right. Now in my classroom, this would be where, okay, students, did you hear there's a word in there? There's an action word. And they're like, Hop. Okay, great. Would you hop while I sing? So like then the students get to do it. And if you all feel led to hop, you go for it. Hop, old squirrel, idledum, idledum, hop, old squirrel, idledum, dee. Hop, old squirrel, idledum, idledum, hop, old squirrel, idledum, dee. Yeah, so it's a fun little song. And usually Skippy then has to do this. Mr. Rao, because he calls me Mr. Rao in my classroom, but here, David, yeah, there's a problem. What's the problem? Well, okay, I don't know these people all that well, but the problem is, because I just met them, but the problem is that they're not hopping. They're not hopping. Mm-mm. The ones who are moving, they're jumping on 2 feet. That's not hopping. That's not hopping. Mm-mm. That's jumping. Do you want to tell them? No, I'm nervous. Don't be nervous. Okay, so anyway, I don't know if you heard that, but hopping is 1 foot and jumping is 2 feet, and you were jumping. The kids always do that. They hear hopping and then they jump instead. And we make a distinction in gym and in my classroom when we're talking about movement words that hopping is on 1 foot, jumping is on 2 feet. And so the kids have to do it again, and then they get a hop. And then if we want to, because then they all try it, on the 1 foot, they hop on 1 foot. But if we wanted, Skippy, could we do this? Jump, old squirrel, idledum, idledum, jump, old squirrel, idledum, dee. Could we change the words? Let's try it. So like we sing, and by this point, I've sung it through maybe 3 or 4 times. I don't ever push the kids like sing along, sing along. They just they naturally will start to do it because the song isn't very long. And so if we do it 3 or 4 times, then they'll naturally just start to add in. And I'll say, if you want to sing, you can do it, but you got to make sure that your words now are jump, because now we're jumping. Yeah, jumping, and that's 2 feet. Okay, so let's try it. Jump, old squirrel, idledum, idledum, jump, old squirrel, idledum, dee. Jump, old squirrel, idledum, idledum, jump, old squirrel, idledum, dee. Yeah, that's great, but what else could we do? We could, we could walk. Yeah, let's try it. So, and then we would add, we do walk or something else. But what else could we do? I don't know. I'm a squirrel. I got like 4 ideas. I don't know. What else could we do? And so then I'd ask the kids, like, what else could we do? But you know what? Usually someone comes up with my favorite action, which is what? Skip. Why is that your favorite action? Because my name is Skippy, and so I like skipping, and so we should skip. Oh, so then we skip, and we change the word to skip. Some of you have noticed Skippy helps me out when I'm playing my ukulele. I don't have time to take Skippy off, put Skippy on. And so his little paw is actually, it is cloth, but the way it's sewed, it's sort of hard, so he can strum for me, which is pretty magical. With some of my other puppets, like the bear, I'm able to play while they hold the pick in their mouth. That also works. But anyway, I guess it's just something that happened over time as I was like, I don't have time to take this puppet off. Can I still do it? Yes. So puppets are multifunctional in that way. Anyway, I wanted to show you all something else, because not all kids are going to be able to come up with words, or even if they are able to come up with words, not all of them are going to feel super confident in that. So let me show you. I'll see. Whenever we do this Zoom stuff, I'm always worried that I won't be able to share. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, so not all kids are going to be able to come up with words right away. Usually I might put up lyrics for the kids, maybe not. But usually I'll put up a screen eventually that looks sort of like this. Because even if kids can't come up with words, if you have a word bank or a word wall, something for them to choose from, they're definitely able to come up with ideas there. So even the most timid kid or English language learners or someone who doesn't feel confident shouting out an answer, if you go over to that kid, you say, okay, any of the words on the board would work. Which one would you like to choose? They can either speak a word up there if they don't feel comfortable saying the word, if they don't feel comfortable reading, maybe you're at a level where they don't know all these words, don't want to sound them out, they could just point and you could say, okay, great, what that word is prance. What do you think prance would look like? And so having a word wall is really helpful because it gives kids any of those options are correct. It gives them some confidence that they can give a good answer, but also it does expand their vocabulary, because I don't know what kid would come up with slash. Slash is actually in the world of dance and movement, Laban, if you've heard of that name before, is a specific kind of movement, but My kids don't know what that is, so they come up with some very creative things, but that's sort of the point. So having those words up there is really, really helpful. And those words in this specific set are in the downloads for this session. If you want, you can print them off. If you want, you can do what I'm doing right now, which is putting up a digital copy like on your board while you're doing it if you want. But that's there in the downloads if you're interested. So you can have that in your classroom. Okay, yeah, but I have a question. Oh, great. I'm so glad you're here to ask a question. Yeah, okay, so when I'm looking at these words, so I see like roam, prance, waltz, stroll. Those are all yellow. Yeah. And then there are words that are green, like pull, splash, wiggle, float. Good reading. Yeah, I know. Okay, but then there are the words with the colors, like many colors, like jiggle and twist. Good. Why? Oh, why? Okay, well, if you look at all the yellow words underneath them, there's a word that says locomotor. Locomotor. Yeah, and then the green words, there's a word that says non-locomotor. Non-locomotor. Great. And then underneath the multicolored words is something that says both. I still don't get it. Okay, you don't get it. Well, so locomotor means it's like movements that like take you through the space, like from one place to another. So if I'm locomotor, it means that I'm moving through the space. But the green words, the non-locomotor, those are words that like we're moving and we're doing stuff, but we're really not leaving this space. We're not traveling somewhere. We're just like moving in place. You could still move, but it's not locomotor. Oh, and then the both means like maybe like how you do it. Like you could twist in place or you could twist as you're moving. Yeah, that's right. It could be either locomotor or non-locomotor. Oh, I get it. Okay, so the yellow are locomotor and the green are not locomotor. Yeah, but it's non-locomotor. What'd I say? You said not locomotor. It's non-locomotor. Okay, so locomotor and not locomotor. No, it's locomotor and non-locomotor. Non. Yeah. Locomotor, not locomotor. No, it's not. I mean, it's fine. We should just go on, but it's non-locomotor. Well, what does non-locomotor mean? Okay, well, it means not locomotor, but the word is non-locomotor. Anyway, having this conversation with Skippy is pretty fun because they think it's silly, but also Skippy is coming up with a problem that kids do all the time. Kids make that mistake and say not locomotor, and because it's a vocabulary word and I want them to know non-locomotor, it's like worth taking the time to talk about. So now Skippy can be the one to make that mistake, and the kids are like, oh, I thought that too. And so then they will also now remember it probably better because they remember, oh, Skippy was being silly and he kept saying the wrong thing. I love puppets for a lot of reasons. One of them is if you think about like Sherlock Holmes would be really boring stories if Sherlock just showed up and was like, haha, I've come up with the answer. End of book. Right? Like Sherlock's great, but you need Professor Watson or Dr. Watson. You need him there to be like, Holmes, how do you know? And so puppets can be there to be like the Holmes. Like they can ask you clarifying questions. They can ask questions that you want kids to be asking, but maybe the kids don't, come up with those questions right away. So puppets are really like the student or the paraprofessional who asks all the right questions at all the right times. Because that doesn't always happen. And so it's nice to have like an extra hand there to ask some of those questions along the way. And then also he sort of diffuses the tension with any sort of thing. The puppet can be there to sort of make that a little bit more accessible for kids no matter what. Okay, so these movement words are there if you want them. I also find this is not necessarily puppet related, but I also find kids have a hard time remembering their right and their left. And so I print off these posters. They're like, letter size, and one just says left and has a handprint, and one says right and has a handprint. So anytime kids forget, I just say, hold up your hands and check, and you can know which one is which. And that it seems silly, but it has really honestly been a lifesaver. Okay, well, so that's just like one example of what a puppet can do. Let's talk about a few specific examples or some ideas of like how you could get started. So I like to think about like all-purpose puppets. It's great to have like a puppet that's like a whale if you're going to do a whale song, or an armadillo if you're going to teach that one armadillo song. But if you only have a puppet that is only specific for one song, one time of year with one grade level, that is not going to serve you very well. And so I think that it's good to have some puppets habits, especially when you start, that you can use for a lot of things. So the first one I would suggest is if you get something that's sort of like a domestic animal, something like, I love cats, because kids are familiar with cats, they know cats. This is Tabby, and Tabby is sort of a precocious character, but cats are really great because you could do any song from like at home, any song from in the house, any sort of like normal daytime at home song. You could do anything barnyard related because cats are often in the barnyard. So pretty versatile, and that covers a lot of territory. But also cats are pretty approachable for kids. They're not scary, and well, usually, I don't know, some cats, my grandma's cat was, but most cats are fine. And so cats give you a lot of coverage depending on what it is you want to teach. Also, Tabby, don't you have a favorite poem to share? Also, Tabby, don't you have a favorite poem to share? Oh, she's doing it again. Oh, she's doing it again. Tabby likes to do this thing where she copies me. Tabby likes to do this thing where she copies me. Yeah, it's sort of annoying. It's sort of annoying. Yeah, but she keeps doing it. But luckily, we have a plan. Tabby knows that if she keeps copying me, and I've asked her to stop, then she'll owe me all her snacks. Really? Yeah. This again? Yeah. Because if you keep copying me and I've asked you to stop, you have to stop. If you don't stop, you'll owe me all your snacks. You'll owe me all your... Yeah. So anyway, Tabby knows she shouldn't copy me, except there's one time she's allowed when we do the special poem. Oh, my poem. Can we do the poem? Yeah, it's the poem. It goes like this. Copycat, copycat, 1, 2, 3. Copycat, copycat, 1, 2, 3. Do what I do after me. Do what I do after me. Anything I do, you do the same. Anything I do, you do the same. That's how you play the copycat game. And then we get to copy you. Yeah, we get to copy me. So I might do something like clapping, and the kids all get a clap. It's an easy way to add in those little echo games, those echo patterns. I'll do like 4 different examples basically, and then we would do the poem again. And then maybe I would do a padding example, and then we do the poem again. Maybe I would do solfege, and we do the poem, or vocal exploration. Tabby really likes that. Tabby, can you tell me why you like the vocal exploration? Well, here's the problem. Because when I try and clap, listen to this. Nothing, because my paws are too soft. Yeah, your paws are too soft. So when you try and give a clapping example, it doesn't work. No. See? Nothing. And when I pat, nothing. Yeah, I know. It's really a bummer. Yeah. So you like the vocal exploration. Yeah, because watch this. Whoop. You can copy that. Whoop. Yeah, and they can all copy that. And you use your finger and just go whoop, right? Yeah, and then I go like woo, and you would go ooh, right? Like you got to copy that. Yeah, and I can lead that. Yeah, but you can't really do the clapping. You've tried that and it doesn't really work. Yeah, except I have that workaround. Oh yeah, we found there's this instrument. It's called a drum shaker because it has a little membrane that you can pat, and you can also shake it. It's pretty cool. So it's officially called a drum shaker. I just call it a draker because that makes more sense to me. Yeah, you'd like to take the word and sort of put it together. But anyway, when you play the draker, this is fun because then you can't really clap. No, I can't really clap. But if I do this, the kids can clap after me, and then I can be like a part of it. Yeah, you can be a part of it. And when I put it like this, like down there, then the kids know to pat. Yeah, then the kids know to pat. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so anyway, Tabby shows up and is pretty sassy at first and likes to lead the copying. Kids love her because she's like silly and funny, but then also they see her a lot because for the first 5-ish minutes of a class, she might lead them in just basic copying, echoing, of whatever you want. And kids love that. They love that she's a little silly. But also then anytime you bring her back out for another song, another story, anything else, kids are already familiar with Tabby and like what Tabby does. Okay, you just met Tabby. You already met Skippy. Skippy is also great for outdoor things. Another great sort of a puppet for outdoor is something like a rabbit. Hello, my name is Peter. Yeah, Peter the rabbit. There are people who like have tons of puppets and they name them like Allegro or like Adagio, I don't know, like Forte or whatever. I don't do that because I will not remember that. So I go with like the most boring basic names like Skippy the squirrel, Tabby the cat, uh Peter the rabbit. Like you could come up with really cool ones. I can't remember that. So if I had like two puppets, maybe that'd be different, but I don't. And so I don't have like cute names. But anyway, I remember Peter the rabbit. Peter, what do you like to do? Well, I love to tell stories outside. I can tell stories from the forest. I can tell stories from the mountains, anywhere. Yeah. And here's the thing, a rabbit is really nice because there are other animals that could teach from these areas, like an owl or like a coyote or something. But those are animals that are slightly scarier for some kids. Even owls. Some kids are very scared of owls. So a rabbit is very non-threatening, is like pretty fun and fuzzy, but also is like a wild animal. Like there are some rabbits that can be domesticated, but like, right. So anyway, so Peter's a really great, another great character that can come and can like take us a lot of different places. Peter's going to come back in just a little bit because he has some more things to talk about. Yeah. And oh, the other thing is that not all puppets will have like the little mouth aperture, and that's fine. Peter can still be very, very well, he definitely has a character, and he can be very rambunctious, but he doesn't need to have move his mouth for you to know that he's talking. One of the things I learned early on is that when the puppet talks, you look at the puppet, because if you don't, oh yes, it's very exciting, like the kids won't buy in as well. But if you're looking at it and you act like, oh yeah, the puppet's talking, even though your mouth is moving, kids will follow you there. When we had the COVID times and we were constantly wearing masks, that was like great for my puppeteering skills because kids didn't actually know if I was the one talking. Like there were some kids who were unsure. But even now, without the mask on, kids don't care. They either believe the puppet is talking or they are willing to make that leap and just go with you. But anyway, whether it has a mouth or not doesn't really matter. Okay, so another creature that I would suggest you have, so something sort of at home domestic, like a cat or a dog, something like that would be great. Something you could, and that could be like barnyard, because there are so many songs for elementary that are in the barnyard. If you wanted to branch out and have like a cow or something too, you could totally do that if you wanted to be like farm, but a cat can do both. A rabbit is great for anything sort of like wild animal, forest, field, mountains, anything like that. And then it suggests something like from the ocean, whether that's a fish or an octopus or a whale. Any of those are great. I like to use this little character. His name is Larry. Larry, you want to say hi? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Larry's a little shy, but that's okay. Larry, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself? Okay, can I do it? Okay. So anyway, Larry's a lobster, and you know he's a lobster and not a crab. There are a couple of reasons. Can you show them like maybe your shell? Okay, yeah, so you can see his shell. And then he has these legs, right? He's got a little sort of fin back here. And then these like sort of antenna, whiskery sort of things, right? Okay, and then can you show them what you're most proud of? Yeah, his claws. He's very proud of his claws. Can you show them what you can do with your claws? Yeah, he can pat his claws like that. Isn't that nice? You know, that sort of even looks like a steady beat. Yeah, can you try it again? Maybe the kids can try with you. Great. And then the kids would pat a steady beat. Can you do a different steady beat? Maybe. Because remember, a steady beat is any beat. It can't speed up, it can't slow down, it has to stay the same. But it could be a fast steady beat or a slow steady beat. It just can't change once you start. So could you maybe do like a different kind? Ooh, that's a good one. How about another one? Very nice. Okay, can you change something else? Okay, watch this. Ooh, that's not hands together. That's what? It's separate hands. Yeah. Okay. So the Larry is really fun because when you're first starting to do things with kindergartners and you're talking about steady beat, you're talking about padding the beat, you always have them start with hands together first. And then once they're able to do more of that, then you can do sort of hands separate, because that's the whole brain development, and how you don't want to cross the midline at first, because kids' brains develop that they need to do things either one hand or the other hand or both, but having them do separate things is really tricky when their brain is developing. So anyway, Larry is great for or encouraging them to do hands however Larry wants them to do. And there's actually this really fun song called Larry the Lobster. It's been around a long time. I first discovered it in a book by Lynn Kleiner called SOS Songs of the Sea. And she has a really cool recording that goes along with it, but it goes like this: Larry the lobster, kicking in the sand all day. Oh, what a guy, Larry the lobster, swimming along his way. Look out, Larry, here comes a fish, here comes a fish. Run, run, Larry, run, hide in the water. Run, run, Larry, run for your life. Run, run, Larry. It's, that part repeats. So basically, there's the first section, which is like keep a steady beat. However, maybe you're walking, I don't know. And then there's the look out, Larry part, and then he gets to run, which is hilarious. And then the kids would just do all of that, only instead of using their, a puppet, Larry would say, what yeah, the kids need to use their claws. Well, okay, the kids don't have claws; they have hands, but they'd use their hands. So anyway, kids get to use their hands, and then they sort of love that. But then Larry has to watch out because in the version that I learned, there are three things that try and get Larry. There's a big fish. There's a shark. Yeah, he doesn't like hearing about that. And then also there's like people. Yeah, people like to eat Larry, and so there's a net. Or I guess it would actually be like a crab trap, or I don't know how you get lobsters, but anyway. So that's a fun little thing. But Larry is great because I don't know if you noticed, my other puppets talk. Larry does not talk. And that's another fun thing about puppets is they don't always have to speak and to interact with kids. And when Larry doesn't talk, kids actually listen better. They listen to me better, and they're more attentive to what Larry wants them to do. They will watch more carefully. And also because Larry's a finger puppet, he's smaller, they have to really be watching carefully to catch what he's doing. So Larry is a great character to have around. And he could then, if you wanted, take you to do any sort of song in the ocean, talking about anything that happens in the ocean with fish or sharks or whatever. Larry could be like, oh, my friend told me the story about blah, blah, blah. So Larry's another great character to have. This little finger puppet, I love especially because it has the separate claws. I think that's a great thing to be able to do. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay. And then the book, sorry, I did not mention that. I think that it's in the notes too, but it's called SOS Songs of the Sea. It's by Lynn Kleiner. And if I had a copy right here, I would pull it out, but I don't think that I brought that one home. So anyway, but it's a really great book. You can find Larry the Lobster in other places, but her recording is really cool too. Okay, so those are some of my favorite all-purpose puppets. I would say, like I said, get something that you can use for around the house, for like barnyard, something that would be the forest or mountain or field, something that can be underwater, and then it'd also be great if you could have something that could fly. So like maybe an owl or an eagle or a sparrow or something that's like able to take flight. I would say what's tricky about finding like birds or flying things is either you're going to get an owl. If I'm thinking about the puppets I've seen, there are a lot of owls. There are a lot of like tropical birds like parrots. You can find them, but they're a little bit more expensive, or they're finger puppets. There are tons and tons of birds that are just finger puppets, which are totally fine, totally doable, but it's sometimes nice if you're going to like interact and tell a story to have like a hand puppet, which is like the larger version versus a finger puppet. You can still use them, but the bigger ones are maybe a little bit more versatile. So and owls are great. Owls work really well. I've only had one kid in the many years I've been doing this who's like, I don't want to talk to that owl because I'm scared of it. And even then she like got over it eventually, but because she knew like that's not a real owl, but still it's good to keep that at consideration. Okay, let me introduce you to another friend who's here, and we can talk about maybe how we could use again a puppet for a lesson. So this is Fluffy, and Fluffy is normally a very good friend, but sometimes Fluffy makes some mistakes. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, you will tell in just a second, because like the other day when I was in my classroom, well, actually it wasn't in my classroom. I went down to the office because I had to make some copies or whatever, like, homeworky stuff. And I was in the office, and when I came back, I couldn't find Fluffy. And then I heard coming from behind my desk these sounds, and then I found when I walked around my desk, what did you find? Okay, I found Fluffy was in my lunchbox. What's weird about that? The lunchbox is very cool, and I wanted a nice place to lay down. I was sleepy. Yeah, you were not sleeping in my lunchbox, though, because I heard the sounds coming from in the lunchbox. Well, sometimes I snore. No, you were not snoring. It was the sound chewing. Easy to confuse chewing and snoring. No, it's not easy. Anyway, so I heard, and then I pulled Fluffy out, and then inside my lunchbox there were some things that had gone missing. We should get a detective to figure that out. Yeah, or actually, I'm pretty sure it was you eating them. No, you have no proof. Yeah, but anyway, I knew it was you because all the things that you liked were missing. Like what? Like Cheetos were missing. I do like Cheetos. Yeah, and the carrots were still there. Carrots are gross. Okay. Anyway, who would eat those? Next. Okay, well then there were like little like turkey sticks. Those were missing. Crazy. Then there were goldfish crackers that are gone. Goldfish. Cats like goldfish, but I will not. It was not me. I will tell you now, it was not me. Okay. And then anyway, this part of my sandwich is gone. There were little tiny bites missing. You do take small bites. No, it wasn't. It was you, and I knew because the sandwich had all the things that you like bread, and turkey, cheese, the tomatoes were not missing. The tomatoes were still there. Tomatoes are gross. Yeah, and then I knew you'd like it because there was like a little bit of mustard and some mayonnaise. No. What? No, 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 no. I am a smart cat. I have a very developed palate, and I know that was not mayonnaise, that was butter. Mayonnaise and butter taste different, and I know the difference. So you're saying when you tasted it, you tasted mayonnaise and not butter. Yes, I did not taste mayonnaise. Oh no. Oh no. I just admitted my fault. Oh no. Yeah, she admitted that she had eaten the sandwich. And I also knew it because when I pulled you out of my lunch bag, I found butter all over your whiskers. A sad day. Yeah, and actually, I have a song about it. No, 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 don't tell the song. Don't do the song. No, yes, I do have a song. And it goes like this. Naughty kitty cat, you are very fat. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat. I don't like that song. Yeah, I know. It's sort of because it's about you doing the wrong thing. And actually, that's the original song. There's another version. Well, you could just change the words because why put in the line about fat? So you could just put naughty kitty cat. Why did you do that? It's an easy change. But the original has those original lyrics. That's why I sang it the first way first. Anyway, in my class, when we sing, why did you do that? I don't like this song. Yeah, I know you don't like this song. In fact, I in protest, I'm going to add something. You're going to add something. Sing it again. I'm going to add my part. Okay. Because I have my side of the story. Okay, great. So anyway, the song goes, naughty kitty cat, meow. Why did you do that? Meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat, meow. Yeah, that was a good part to add. Maybe the kids could do the meows with you. Yeah, I will indicate when you do meows by showing you it is your turn. You'll get it. I promise. We'll figure this out. Okay, good. So I'll do my part and you do the cat part. Naughty kitty cat, meow. Why did you do that? Meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat, meow. And I really hope many of you are like at home with headphones in, just meowing randomly at your computers because that'd be hilarious. But anyway, so the kids learn the meow part. And then eventually we do it 3 or 4 times and Fluffy gets them to sing the meows with him with him. And then we trade parts so that they can do the teacher part too. And Fluffy's like, no, 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 no. You want to do the cat part, not the teacher part. Yeah, I don't want to learn the teacher part. The teacher part would be fun. You should learn the Mr. Rao part. Okay. So anyway, so then they get to learn the other part, but you don't even have to take the time to be like, here's the first part, here's the second part. Because once they hear it enough times, they'll just naturally sort of pick it up, especially if at first they're only in charge of singing the meows, if that's all they're responsible for. So they would do that, and then they learn all the parts. There's a really fun game you can do where you all stand in a big circle and Fluffy stands in the middle and Mr. Rao, or the teacher, stands on the outside, and you all sing and everybody in the circle holds hands. And at the very, very end of the song, they raise up their hands and whoever is pretending to be Fluffy gets to run underneath a set of arms, and then they get chased. I would chase them around the circle. So everyone's holding hands. There's one kid inside, one kid outside. At the end of the song, their hands go up And then Fluffy chooses one doorway to go through. So like if they choose this doorway, then all of their hands go down. So then the kid has to run like around the circle and back under into the circle before I catch them. It's a hilarious game. It's similar to a lot of other sort of chase games, circle games. I put the directions that I use in the notes if you want to use them, but there you could do sort of however you want. Another cool thing you can do once you've done that, or once kids are sort of going, is you can add an instrumental part. If you take like xylophones, glockenspiels, barred instruments, and you take off F and B, it puts it in C pentatonic. And so what kids do then is they take their mallets and they can play, anytime there's a meow, they can play whatever the bar they want. Naughty kitty cat, bing. Why did you do that? Bing. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat. Bing. And because the song is in C, when they play on the meows and they play in C pentatonic, it sounds like it's a part of the song. They can play whatever they want. And then when the chase in the game happens, I say, okay, now you can run up and down the bars. And they sort of love that. So it's an easy integration for younger grades if you want them to do a little bit of instrument playing or instrument exploration. And because it's not like, has to be done to the steady beat or has to be these specific bars, it gives them a lot of freedom to just sort of play and explore. So super fun game. Fluffy is another great sort of a character that can show up, but could do anything household, anything basically you want. But when I first started doing this song, I was like, Fluffy is like the perfect character for that. But that also is fun too, because in that moment when you're teaching the song, when you have a 2-part song or like a call and response song, sometimes it's hard to be like, no, don't sing my part, sing your part. But when you have a puppet who can be the second part, it's very clear, like my part, kid part, my part, kid part, because the kids will follow the puppet. So it makes that sort of teaching a lot easier because the kids are like, well, yeah, we're singing with Fluffy. Or when it gets to the point where like, no, sing with Mr. Rao, don't sing with Fluffy. They're like, ooh, so it's just sort of fun for them. Okay, I have another character to introduce you to, and then I'll talk about a few tips and things that you can do in general. This is another character who likes to show up, and this is my friend Ollie. And Ollie, can you introduce yourself? Hello, I am an octopus. Yes, and Ollie's an octopus. Again, so creative with the naming, Ollie the octopus. Yeah, anyway, but I am an octopus and I am from the ocean. And does anyone know anything about an octopus? I love to ask kids that question to see what they come up with. And I'm like always ready for them to say like, an octopus has 8 tentacles. Oh, great, let's count them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ollie must only have 7 tentacles. Not the last time I checked. Okay, well, hold on. Maybe we're counting them wrong. Okay, hold on. Maybe like, oh, okay. I think that there was one hiding behind my arm. Okay, so let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I only see 7. We're having issues. Okay, let's try again. Sorry, maybe I'm just counting wrong because I think maybe that one was stuck behind my arm again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And kids love that because they're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? We eventually do count 8. Then we talk about other things about an octopus. What else can you tell me? Okay, well, octopus can be camouflaged, right? Or they can camouflage themselves. They can fit through small spaces. One time I had a kid who was like, an octopus has 3 hearts. And I was like, uh-huh. Ollie, is that true? I've never seen I was like trying to like ad lib, like, what do I say? And then in the back of the room was a para who was like Googling in mid class. And I was like, how did you know that? He's like, it's on Finding Dory. Oh, cool. Well, great. Like I'm still don't remember if it's 2 or 3 hearts. I think it's 3 hearts. Anyway, but what I eventually want them to get at is that an octopus is sort of built different from other animals in that like it has more legs, or not legs, but tentacles in a different place. And its eyes are really fun because its eyes, both of our eyes face forward, but its eyes both are on the side. So it'd be like if we had an eye here and an eye here, you'd see things differently, wouldn't you? So when an octopus is looking at you, really they're doing this. Like you have to be able to see their eye. It's not like the front of them, they can't really see you as well. And then like also like their brain is back here in this little part, and then their mouth, right, is underneath them. Ollie, can you show us your mouth? Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Ollie's not really an octopus. Ollie's actually He's a puppet. So if he were a real octopus, he'd have a mouth right here with a thing called a beak, but he's not really an octopus, so he doesn't really have that. But he doesn't know that he's a puppet. So when he asks, could you be like, oh yeah, we saw your mouth, because there's not really one here. But like, he doesn't know that. Have you seen my mouth long enough? Yeah, we saw your mouth. It was very nice. Yeah, so when I have food, I grab it and I pull it underneath me because that is where my mouth is. I see. Well, anyway, great job showing us that part. Anyway, I have a song actually to teach you. Oh, a song. How nice. Okay, how's it go? It goes like this. Fish, fish, little fish, I am going to catch you. Like tag? Mm-mm. Fish, fish, little fish, get into my mouth. And then I eat the fish. Oh, this is not a tag song at all. No, this is a different kind of song. It is clearly a different kind of song. Yeah, let me sing it again. It goes like this. Fish, fish, little fish, I am going to catch you. Fish, fish, little fish, get into my mouth. Okay, this came from a time where I was like, in the pacing guide, we were supposed to be singing more so me intervals, and so I was like, well, I don't really, what are we gonna do? And then I was like, well, let's make up a little song. So this is the song that came out of it. Anyway, so Ollie loves to sing this song, but too bad, sadly, there are not any little fish around that could. Oh no! Hello, I am a little fish. Were you singing about me? Oh, yes, we were, and we should sing about you again. Okay, great. I love songs. This is so fun. All right, here we go. Fish, fish, little fish, I am going to catch you. Like tag? Mm-mm. Fish, fish, little fish, get into my mouth. Wait, what? Oh, no, Ollie. We just met that friend. You said you were gonna. Oh no, nom 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 nom. Yeah, I know, so sad, but actually don't worry because Ollie's not really an octopus, he's a puppet. So like the fish, he did not actually eat the fish. This is surprising because I just ate that fish, but I'm still hungry. Yeah, I don't know, but that's so odd. Anyway, should we sing again? Oh, look, hello, I am a brand new fish. Oh, great, let's sing again. So by now the kids hopefully are starting to like pick up a little bit and sing. Fish, fish, little fish, I am going to catch you. Wee! Fish, fish, little fish, get into my mouth. Oh no, Ollie. And the kids are like, Ollie, oh no. But actually, he did not eat because he's a puppet, and so no worries. This is so weird. I am still very hungry. Yeah, I know. So anyway, should we try one more time? Yeah, let's try another time. And the kids will repeat endlessly. I have a student teacher right now, and she's like, but we just repeated it twice. I was like, that's not enough for kinder. You can do it again. You can do it 18 more times, and they'd still giggle, and it'd be fine. Anyway, so we tried again. Fish, fish, little fish, I am going to catch you. Fish, fish, little fish, get into my mouth. Oh no, Ollie. But actually don't worry because he's actually a puppet. So he's... Nom, 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 nom. Ollie, did you just eat that fish? Because did you just... Yeah, I ate the fish. I told you I was going to eat the fish. Did you not listen to the song? Okay, that is very confusing. Because I was pretty sure that... And the kids are like, is Ollie actually an octopus? Is he like a real octopus? I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, I've gotten to the point now I don't know if this is my puppeteering skills or like sleight of hand skills, but I've gotten to the point where with this song, when he eats the fish, I can do one of these and tuck him up underneath, and then the kindergartners can't tell the difference. And so then when I'm like, I think he's a puppet, but like, I don't know. There's nothing in there. I don't know. And so anyway, so then I can tuck them away in there, and the kids don't know. It's hilarious because some kids are like, I'm pretty sure he's a puppet, but like, I am confused. So it's hilarious. So then I have enough of these little finger puppets that I say, like, what if you had your own Ollie? Okay, you can't use your hand as an Ollie, really, because you only have 5 fingers and you should have 8 tentacles. But if you pretend, and then I have a bunch of little fish finger puppets. These I got from like US Toy or Oriental Trading or something. They're really nice because they're sort of a rubbery material. And so if you are worried germs or whatever, you can do the the cleaning hack of where you dump them in some Sтерosol or you dump them in like bleach water or whatever. The cool thing is that they're very durable, they wash really easily, and they come in 4 colors. So when you're putting away, it's like so easy classroom management. If you have a pink fish with black stripes, you can put away first. If you have a green fish with blue stripes. Anyway, kids will do the thing where they'll be like, let's sing, get into my mouth. Oh no, Ollie, you ate the fish. And they like think that's hilarious. I always have a kid who's like, get into my mouth. Oh no, where'd he go? I can't find. And they like, oh, they'll like stuff it down in their sweater or whatever. It's always hilarious to see, but it gives kids a chance to like feel like they're a part of that magic too. So that's really, really fun. Most of the time when I do, and then there's like a little game that can go with it too, sort of like a duck, duck, goose, but not. I put there in the downloads. There's a whole sort of file about how you can use this. There's some like written versions. So if you wanted kids to go through and see it visually, that's in there too. And the explanation of the game is all in there. But I just like getting to the point where the kids can sing and they can sort of act out the story with their hand and just a finger puppet. Usually if kids are going to touch the puppets, I give them finger puppets instead of a hand puppet because the hand puppets are just a little big for most kids, depending on the kind of puppet you have. Also, a little trick that I learned is with a lot of finger puppets, you can take a mallet, especially those little like wooden mallets you get with a wood block, and you can put the little thing on top of the mallet. Like I have a little baby Ollie, a little Ollie, and I have a little wooden mallet. So the cool thing is, most of the time they fit right on there, and then instead of the kid trying to like fit their finger in and get whatever, then they just can hold on to the stick, and the stick is really easy to Lysol wipe that if you're worried about germs, and you don't have to like worry about trying to, I don't know, wash a puppet. I don't know how you do that. So anyway, that's my cool little hack about finger puppets. But I like to let kids use, I have a couple class sets of little finger puppets, and you can get like in bulk, the finger puppets a little bit cheaper than if you buy like a big full size hand puppet. So it's nice to be able to have some of those to like use. A lot of times we'll use them like for instrument exploration and things too. You'll put the little finger puppet on them out and then they can travel up and down the instrument. That's really fun too. But there are a lot of things you can do with the finger puppet if you use the little mount like that. Okay, one more little trick, and then I'm going to talk about my like things to get you started, and then I'll try and leave some time for questions. One puppet that doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, but has changed my life is this little turtle finger puppet. Years ago, I was trying to like, I asked a lot of my friends and mentors, like, how do you get kids to hold mallets correctly? I just can't figure it out. Because I tried the whole like, have them say it's like a bicycle, hold like a bicycle, and they couldn't get it. And then one day I was like, raise your hand if you have a bike at home. 6 of the 25 kids or whatever raised their hand. Or of those kids, I was like, okay, now, how often do you ride your bike? And they're like, a couple times in the summer. My kids just don't have that experience with bicycles the way that maybe kids have in the past. So if you're trying to like use a trick like that, it only works if they have the knowledge of the other thing you're trying to have them associate with. So if they don't know how to ride a bicycle, saying, well, hold it like a bicycle doesn't really help. So I had a teacher once who said, oh, well, just tell them it's like a turtle. What? And so she was like, oh, a turtle, it's real easy. Everyone knows a turtle has a neck with a head on the end, a little tiny tail, arms that can come out, but the biggest thing is its shell. So when kids are holding their mallet, they should have a little tail, they should have a long neck with a head on the end, they should have feet that can come out if they need them to, but then the shell is the part they should always have up, because turtles don't lay on their back. So you don't do that, and they don't lay on their side. Turtles are always shell up. And that was like a transformative thing, hilarious, but transformative. And then I added on to the story, and I was like, there's a 3rd grade girl who came in once. She's like, hello, little turtle. How are you today? I'm great. And then she said, oh, you're so cute. And then she pushed his little head down into the sand, which was very surprising. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. Well, don't do that. That hurts the turtle. Don't do that to the turtle. Okay, great. And then she went over and she made her little mallet turtle, and she had a little tiny tail and a long neck with a head on the end and the shell that was on top. And then she went, hello, little turtle. How are you today? And she pushed the little head down into the sand. And kids always do this because it gives them more control over the mallet. It's understandable why they do it, but it also tends to dampen the mallet or dampen the bar. So when they're playing, if their finger puts pressure there, it puts pressure on the bar, which stops it from vibrating. So teaching them to like wrap their finger around little turtle's neck and give it a little hug, then the mallet can bounce better, the bar can vibrate more. And just having this one visual, if a kid is sitting there playing like this, I just go, "Oop." I don't even say anything. I just walk over and I go, "Oop," and they go, and they fix it immediately. It's hilarious. I don't know how it works, but it works. My favorite was one time I was like explaining this for the first time. I was like, do turtles like to lay on their back? No, they like to be with shell. And one kid goes, if a turtle lays on its back too long, it can suffocate. And I was like, Benny, I did not think that's where this lesson was going, but thanks for the science tie-in, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's just another little trick that like this little finger puppet cost me like maybe $6 or $7, but it is invaluable. I can use it all the time everywhere. Okay, a couple little tips and tricks for if you are first starting to be a puppet master, a puppeteer. Here are my suggestions for you. The first trick is, sorry, I'm grabbing my notes so I don't miss anything. The first thing is you just have to fake it until you make it. You have to get the puppet and you have to commit to the puppet being a part of your classroom, and you have to use it. And the more you use it, the more comfortable you'll be. By the time you've used it for 5 minutes, it will not feel like a super huge, crazy deal. Start with a younger grade, they'll buy in. It only becomes awkward when like a paraprofessional or an administrator walks in, and then it's awkward for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it's back to being normal. But you just have to fake it and sort of like go with it, and really commit to it. And along those lines, if you believe it, they will too. If you actually look at the puppet and talk for the puppet and have a conversation with the puppet, the kids will follow you. There's going to be that kid who's like, it's a puppet. I'm like, is it? Or even if it is, I'm like, I know, but they don't know it's a puppet. That's my other trick, is if you're like, I know it's a puppet, you're very smart, but they don't know that Fluffy doesn't know she's a puppet. So just, and sometimes they'll be like, okay. You're always going to have that one kid who keeps pushing, but then that's no longer a do they believe or do they not believe. That becomes now a classroom management issue of they're talking about when they're not supposed to, they're disrupting when they're not supposed to. That's not really like, it's no longer about the puppet. It's about them not following the direction of it's time to listen, right? Okay, another trick. Don't let them see your fear. If you do not believe that the puppet is really there, if you do not actually commit to it, they will not believe. If you're like, oh, and now I have my friend, it's Skippy, and Skippy's a real squirrel. See, because like they know you're lying. They can feel that bluff. So you just have to go with it, and you can't let them feel like this lesson's going to crash and burn. If they think that's what you're thinking, it won't work. But I think that we as teachers know that. Like you can't put out an aura of like this isn't working, because they'll know that. And then just the more that you do this, the more comfortable it will be. Like I said, get a puppet that you really like. My first one actually was Peter the Rabbit, and then I got Fluffy, and the more I used, the more comfortable I was. I got comfortable actually manipulating the puppet. I've gotten to the point that with my little owl puppet, Snowy the Owl, which is pretty cool because you can put your hands in its wings, and like it has a little joystick for its head. You can rotate its head around. I've gotten to the point where like these puppets can now do things sort of on their own as I'm talking. So like Skippy's a great example. So like as I'm doing things, Skippy, if I'm talking to the class, Skippy might still be like, looking and listening. If a kid gives an answer, Skippy will turn and will start just doing things that they're like, yeah, it's really its own character. So I've gotten to the point where I've done it, but I've had them long enough that it just feels comfortable doing that. Okay, in the notes, there's a whole section on teaching like the 4 voices with puppets, where each puppet has its own sort of character. So like Peter the Rabbit does speaking voice, Snowy the Owl represents singing voice, Flutter the Butterfly has whisper voice, and Grizzly the Bear is shouting voice. And so each one tells you their own little poem. I actually have a whole video about that entire process that is linked in the notes if you want to go watch that on your own. It's like there's a little poem for each one, and I share sort of how to do all that if you're interested. But there are just so many things you can do. They can tell a story, they can give context to a song or a story, they can lead you into a specific lesson, they can just be there to ask questions. There's a lot that they can do. And there's a lot in the notes of ideas of sort of how you can use those specifically. Okay, I want to stop because I want to see if any of y'all have questions about these puppets or about process of puppets or other things. I want to make sure that I leave a little time for questions. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat or unmute and ask. Either way works.
David, there was one question earlier in the chat that I want to make sure we get to. And Miss Jamie had a question about, and Jamie, please unmute if I get this wrong, but how close do you get when you introduce a puppet?
How?
Like how close to the students? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
Well, it depends on the grade. A lot of times, if it's like kindergarten, we're sitting in a circle together, and I bring the puppet with me. If it's an older class, I don't like hide behind a screen or anything. That's the thing, is like there really is no mystery. Like they know that they can see the puppet on my hand, but I'm just committing to the idea that like it is actually a puppet. Just like if you go see a play, you know that it's not really a bear in a costume, or if you see a mascot, it's not really that thing. But the more that you just like go with it, the more that they'll be willing to do that. So the proximity, I get real close. If kids start to like reach up and grab, if it's a puppet that's like more of a forest animal, it might be like, do one of that. Or if you don't mind, that's totally up to what you're more comfortable with. The proximity is really what works best for that specific lesson or that class, I guess. I see Cassandra just asked, what age do you stop using the puppets? Okay, I feel like second grade, third grade is about the breaking point where kids will then stop following you and believe, not just with puppets, but like, I love second grade because second grade, you'd be like, we're in an aquarium. And they're like, yes, we are. And I'm a clownfish. But like, once you get much older than that, kids will stop as easily following you down the rabbit hole in those lessons. So that's basically where I sort of stop with puppets, except I have older kids ask me all the time. They're like, we haven't seen any puppets in a while, but like, will we? Like, I had a parent of a fifth grader ask in parent teacher conferences, my daughter wants to know when you're going to use puppets again. And I was like, is this a legit question that you're asking in conferences? But like, okay, yeah. So like, I know kids love it because it's still sort of fun. And it's a fun aspect to add. So for me, it's usually around second or third grade, depending on the lesson or the class. But sometimes I'll still bring things back if it really illustrates a point really well. Fifth grade, there was a song about a frog in a well. So I brought my frog puppet out and they were like all about it. So it just depends on your kids. Also, if you've been there a long time and you've used puppets a while, they're more willing to have them come back too. Any other questions, thoughts, ideas?
I was going to type my question, but I will just speak it. Since you have went through like the process of modeling this with your students from a young age, like kindergarten on, can you see yourself using some of your older students as like allowing them to do puppeteering, if you will, with some of the younger students? That way it gets them still access to the puppets. I know you had talked about.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who will do, even early on, they'll give kids puppets and have them like sing back and forth to one another. Like that's a really fun thing, is like, especially with the finger puppets, they're really willing to do that. Older kids we could totally bring that back and like teach stories to one another, or make that a part of like readers theater or whatever. I'm sure they would totally love that. But it for me, or for any teacher, it depends on like, do you trust those kids with your puppets? How nice of puppets are they? Like all of those questions. Are they clean, kid? Like, are they washing their hands? Because there's one time where a kid was like, oh yeah, I'd love to use it. Okay. And I was like, no. Go get some sanitizer. Because I mean, that's a factor too. But for sure, I think older kids could do it and would do it. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. The other thing I would say is not really a puppet, but along the same lines, if you can get Beanie Babies, kids love to use those and interact with those. And now now they've been around long enough, they're not really like worth as much. So like I once put like a call out on Facebook or Craigslist or something, like, if you have Beanie Babies you'd be willing to donate. And one lady who worked in my district was like, my kid has a closet full of them. They're in college now. And they do not want them. Do you want them? And she sent me like 40, like not all the big ones, like the little ones that like showed up in a Happy Meal or something. And so that's a way to like, if you're like, I'm interested in this puppet thing, but I don't know exactly, get some Beanie Babies, try out some of that. And those are really fun to give to kids, because then there's not like the putting your hand in aspect, none of that, but they can still manipulate and play and do some fun things with that. Oh, and then while I'm thinking about it, puppet brands, there are a lot of brands you can get. I think the one that's maybe the most ubiquitous, maybe there are a couple There's the Puppet Company. They make some really fun stuff. My favorite are the ones that are called Folk Manus. That's all the ones I've used tonight, except for Larry and the Turtle, are all Folk Manus. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are have a lot more detail. I have one of Folk Manus puppet that starts out as a caterpillar. You pull a zipper and fold him, and it turns into a chrysalis. You pull another zipper, and it folds it, and it turns into a monarch. Like, they're ridiculously intricate. Some of them have little like joysticks or things in them. I have one actually here that so this little pig, inside there's a little bladder that like makes sound. So like there's some that are really fun and intricate. I have a sheep that does the same thing, and there's one day I was like, end of the day, long day, I was just like picking things up to like put them away, and I just grabbed the sheep and go like this, and I almost wet myself because I forgot that I had that in there, and it made this sound when I did that. I was like, ah, so they're just they're really fun. But I think any puppet you get, as long as it's something that you're really comfortable with, that's the most important thing. But Folk Manus you can get through companies like West Music. You can get them at Barnes and Noble, little local bookstores. You can find them on Amazon. They're sort of everywhere. But that's like my favorite one, just because of the intricacies and how like good quality they are. They're going to last you a long time.
Rebecca had a question about, have you ever made any puppets? And do you have any advice if you have made them or tried making them?
No. I am not a seamstress. I'm not good with a sewing machine, so I wouldn't trust myself to do that. But I know people who have, and so I know it's a thing. I just feel like you have to be comfortable doing that. I also know people who have taken stuffed animals and have like cut into them, pulled some batting out, and added like a sort of a sock thing where they can turn that into a puppet. But again, that's going to depend on the construction of that specific animal. But Rebecca, I think you should make a couple and send directions to all of us, or send puppets to all of, I don't know. I think that's a great, since you brought it up, I think maybe
well, in her comments, she's already got some experience because she made an
oh my gosh,
so she's got some. Rebecca, I think that's a session at our next peer-to-peer that you're gonna have to do for all of us. So
at least bring them and model them.
So I'm trying to attach it, and I'm having an issue. I've got some pictures from last year. We did Frozen, and our high school did Frozen. And so I have a Sven puppet, like a giant Sven puppet, and an Olaf puppet. And I don't know why this isn't attaching, but I'll see if I can get the pictures attached so you guys can see them. But we're doing Little Mermaid this year. And one of the struggles that I have is trying to get the mechanisms. It's not so much the puppets themselves, but the mouth to move, and the eyes to blink, and the wings to flap, and it's the mech that's the problem. But I'll see if I can do it. I'll try to attach some pictures.
Fantastic.
Is there anything else I can question? I've done this a long time, puppets a long time, so I'm happy to like give any other thoughts, questions, ideas if you have any others. I don't think there's anything else. Like, it honestly, it just takes getting some puppets and trying it out, and then living with it for a while and seeing how it works. But it's usually something like you get it and you try it and you're like, okay, yeah, I can do more of this. Oh my gosh, there are photos. You made that, Olaf? You made that?
Yeah, so I made Olaf and Sven. I don't know how well you can see Sven, and I can try to add some more pictures. So it's basically foam, like EVA foam, and foam clay. Olaf, like his nose is foam clay, but most of his body, because his arms moved and his eyes blinked and his mouth open and closed. If I had videos, I could show you, but I don't have any on my phone. But I have a really hilarious one of him backstage. Sven looks dead, but it's because he doesn't have an operator in him. But the little children when they came to watch this the show at the high school, lost their minds over the puppets. I'm just telling you, they thought that it was the most magical thing they had ever seen. But it's a process, and I'm in the process now of making. I've already made oh, not Sebastian, the other one, Flounder. I've made Flounder, and I'm working on Sebastian now, but it is like a challenge. And I think I've just sent a couple of photos to just some like one person. So I'm sorry. I'll try to fix that. Jackson.
Rebecca,
My
you're definitely
son.
doing our next peer-to-peer. I'm signing you up.
Well, I still need to come in and talk about the globe, going to the globe experience. And I've just been overwhelmed with
I know,
puppets.
dear, you're fine. But I'm signing you up for this as well. Look at the interest. And David, you can attend.
Yes, I want to.
My son David he's 3, and he has been fascinated. He's been watching this entire time, watching all of your puppets and your voices, and he's loved it. So
I love you a lot.
he loves you a lot. Okay, I'm gonna mute now. Thank you guys.
That's one of the things, is that all my puppets sound basically the same. I have never been called out on it. Like maybe once a kid has been like, Fluffy sounds a lot like Tabby, and I was like, well, thank goodness they're never together, because then I'd have to try to differentiate. You don't have to like. Once I was like, maybe this puppet should have a British accent, but then again, like between using it, I forget, and they're like, wow, this puppet sounds weird this time. I'm like, oh, does it? So I think it's honestly sort of basic, but like. But I don't think you have to go super crazy to make puppets exciting and fun, and you can just do whatever you want to do talking with the puppet, and it'll work. What's funny is, okay, think about Rebecca talking about making them. I have a friend who went to like is a professional puppeteer and went to like the Jim Henson workshop, and like it does his own. And like one time he was like, hey, I have this old turkey, do you want it? I was like, oh my gosh, that's the one I've been looking for forever. Yes. And he sent it to me, and it was just the head and neck, but the head was like this big. And I was like, yeah, that's not like an in-class puppet. That's like a stage puppet, but it could like eat all my other puppets. But yeah, I'm going to use it. So oh my gosh, those Frozen puppets, that would be amazing.
Like I'm kind of speechless after this session and after Rebecca's. I'm just in awe of you all. And David, that's how we started this session. That's how we shall end this session. Educators learning from educators, and not just any educators, the best of the best. I told you that when we started. And what a way to end is on that note. You all are incredible. David, thank you for such an awesome session. I think that is resounding on the chat. I think everyone's super excited. There are definitely ways that everyone is thinking about how to use this in their classrooms immediately. And I'm going to stop for just a moment our